Hi, it's great to be back, and it's a wonderful pleasure to have here my colleague Andrej Smilchevski to share his skills by develop our project. As well as we are going to present some deep presentation in how we are connecting the scans, also how to clean them and texture them. So hi Hugo, it's a pleasure to have you here. So from the start I wanted to announce, because last time my mind blown away, we're going to have a bigger giveaway. First we're going to have M3DS t-shirts, white and black. I prefer the black ones. Next we're going to have Unreal t-shirts, so they're only gray, and also some bags and some stickers from Unreal. And one more prize from DreamWorks. We're going to have some stickers and badges. So for now, that's all from me. And I would like Andrej Smilchevski to present himself and say something about his presentation.
Hello guys, my name is Andrej Smilchevski, friends call me Smil. I'm an instructor at the M3DS Academy. I started my career as a student at the Academy. Me and Stefan and the team at the M3 Academy came a long way to be at this point here. So today I'm going to share my experiences on 3D scanning and how to incorporate them into your pipeline. What does 3D scanning mean and how to use that to make your workflow faster.
Perfect. So we're going to have a 10 seconds or 15 seconds break, so Andrej can change his screen and start the workshop. So wait for a second. Okay, perfect. So if we have some internet difficulties or problems, we're going to just make a few seconds break and carry on. Andrej?
Okay, so let's start with 3D scanning. 3D scanning is a process for creating meshes from images. How it's actually done, so we capture some photographs, multiple photographs of an object or a person we'd like to scan. And those pictures are later processed by a software which separates the background from the object, and that way it creates the mesh. So we can use any camera for this, but the higher quality cameras, the higher the quality of the mesh. Also softwares, we've used reality capture. It's a good software with a lot of settings to tweak. So you can get better quality meshes, lower quality meshes, poly count and textures and stuff. So yeah, 3D scanning can even, you can even export the textures. You can also, there are apps special for smartphones like Clone, which basically turns your smartphone into a 3D scanner. Or if you'd like, you can invest in a handheld 3D scanner, or maybe even a rig with multiple cameras. So what actually happens in the process, as I mentioned, there are multiple pictures from different angles, and they must be shot at different angles, but in the same from the same distance, in dim lighting and in dim lighting conditions. So after the scan is processed in the software, it kind of looks like the head in the middle. If I zoom, you can see the topology. It's all mesh here. When the scan is complete, when we export the mesh, the scan looks like the topology of the mesh looks like this. It's in triangles. There are ways in the software to make it from tri-vertex faces to quads, but this lowers the quality of the mesh and the form of the head itself. So this is not used to us. 3D scanning can help us a lot if we're artists, for example, working on a project. So imagine if this has to be a head for a project. So instead of starting this the conventional way with the sphere and everything else, and losing time that way, we just did a scan, which only takes about 20 minutes or so. And from here, we can continue to get something like this. So our goal for today is to get a high poly sculpt, something like this, which can be used for 3D printing, for renders, and for baking it into the low poly. And also, we need to get a low poly, which can be textured, which can we can do blend shapes on this and stuff like that. Also, we're going to do a live demo on the blend shapes, so stay tuned for that. When we import the mesh into ZBrush from the scanner, it kind of looks like this. It's disoriented, so first we need to orient the mesh in correlation with this heads of plane up here. So I'm going to use the gizmo to rotate it like this. I want it to be as straight as possible. Make sure you have this view, like you're looking at the head straight. We're also going to position it to the center of the world in ZBrush. We turn on the floor. You see we're somewhat on the center there. And next up, we're going to duplicate this mesh and go to geometry, dynamesh, and just dynamesh it. When we're dynameshing this, it closes all the holes, and we'll see if it crashes. Hopefully not. It closes all the holes and gives us a perfect mesh for us to start sculpting. So let's see here what's going on. If you'd like to ask something, you can put your questions in the chat. I can see them. I can answer them right now. While we wait for ZBrush to do its thing.
How much time it takes to, let's say, create some decent blend shapes for, let's say, for like a game or some presentation, because we have like a motion capture app that we're going to present later. How much time it takes?
Well, it doesn't take a lot of time. Everything complete from scanning to finished product with textures and blend shapes and everything. I see it's possible to do it in a week. But if you were not using 3D scanning, that would have been a lot more than just a week. Because right now we have, right now we have the one of the shapes that we're going to turn into the other blend shapes. So imagine if we have to sculpt this and then sculpt another head with one expression and then another with another expression and so on and so on. So it downgrades the process.
Isn't it better if you clean the t-shirt a bit and then dynamesh?
Oh yeah, I think we're going to have to do that. So to open that now. Sorry about this. Is the programmability quality affected by the GPU brand, AMD versus NVIDIA? Well, I don't think it is. You can work on both. Depends on the setup of your computer. Sorry about this, guys. So let's continue. As I said, we're going to first position the mesh like this. Select mask lasso and just trim the neck like this. Both sides. Subtle split mask points we don't need this, we can straight up delete it. From here, you can just position it a little bit further like this, duplicate it, and try our luck with Dynamesh again. Okay, so here it is. Here's my Dynamesh head. We can see the topology is very different than the head previously used. So it's a bit low poly, but low poly like this, it's easier to work, kind of like this. So what we do from here is, if there are any large imperfections in the head, we're going to smooth them. And if there are some large holes created due to the scanner not being able to pick up that part, we're going to fill them with clay buildup. But as you can see, this mesh is fairly clean. So after we smooth it a little bit, kind of like this, we can start by sculpting the mesh. So right now, I'm going to make the sockets for the eyes a little bit bigger. Just change to mask pen. The sockets for the eyes a little bit bigger. And with Move Brush, I like to just tweak the eyes, then crank up the Dynamesh resolution, kind of like this. And I'm using this as a reference. So this stays, the duplicate stays, so I can see the eyes, what I need to do to correct them. Snake hook here, just a little bit. Before we go any further, I'm going to append a sphere, which is going to be my eye. So I'm going to exit solo mode, scale this. Can turn on transparency and position the eye where I think it should sit. The eyes are fairly small, they're not large. Kind of like this, I think it's okay. And with clay buildup brush, I'm going to add a bulge here. Kind of like this. So later we can tweak this if we need to. So I'm going to modify topology, mirror and weld. I'm going to take this other eye and just position it where I think it should stay. So it's kind of like this. It's going to come all together when we sculpt the other features of the head. So right here, snake hook again. Whoops. And just start doing the eye. Kind of like this. Going back and forth to the original. So I can go this. Okay. Maybe a little bit here. Dump standard. And I'm going to pronounce this line over here. And just as I work, I do Dynamesh. Need the eye. This eye to be a little bit more to the right. Forward. So the eyelids of our sculpt have to follow the form of the eye itself, of the eyeball. So it needs to be around the eye, but where the bulge is, as you can see, it has to protrude a little bit more forward. And the eyes have very pronounced and sharp edges here. Kind of like this. Do Dynamesh as a sculpt. Like this. This is the tear canal. So we must make that. If I see, oh, so I need to make that a little bit Taller, kind of like this. So for the amount of topology I have, I'm satisfied with this side. Now, later I'm going to revisit it, but right now I'm going to sculpt the other features, like the nose. Need to deepen it here. The nostrils. The mouth. One thing important to note in the mouth is to get the opening of the mouth to be the exact same as the original. So as you can see, it's pretty straight over here, and it's sort of shaped like a bow, from a bow and arrow. That's what I'm going to do on my sculpt over here. Kind of like this. If you want, you can tweak it with snake hook. We have to zoom it a little bit here. Data mesh again. Damn standard brush. So I use the standard brush to pronounce the edges of the mouth. The vermilion borders, I think they're called. So I'm just going fairly quick here with the sculpt, but it is noted that you shouldn't rush these things. I'm going in the ear area. When we're working with a 3D scan, the ears are pretty important to sculpt out, right? Because the scanner can't pick up all the cavities in the ear, so it rarely comes out perfect from the scanner. So we need to continue working on the ear where the scanner left off. As you can see, it even welded these two separate parts together, and this in this area always comes out a little bit shallower than what it should be. So it should be kind of like this. So from here, it's just about it's about refining the forms. So I'm going to revisit the eyes again. I'm going to add a little bit over here, kind of like this. Dynamesh it as I do. The upper eyelid sort of ends off above the lower one. So I'm going to turn on Dam Standard, Snake Hook, play with the eyes a little bit. Then I get this. Okay, guys, so I'm going to reset the stream. Hang on, we're going to do a small break.
There is some internet difficulties, but it can be fixed in a few seconds. Perfect.
Okay, so where we left, snake hook, and then just move everything where it should be. So when you're sculpting, you shouldn't do as I did now. Just sculpt one part and then move on to the next. You have to sculpt them all simultaneously. But because we don't have much time for that, so I'm just going to sculpt one part, and then I have already mesh with the other parts sculpted. So I need to just tweak a little bit of things here, what I think should be doing. Sorry, kind of like this. So I'm focusing on Mrs. left side, where the mouth ends. It is a little bit more opening than in other places in the mouth. So as I sculpt, I add geometry. So I'm going to crank up the Dynamesh resolution to here. So, sorry. I think it was called Einstein Pro 2X. It's a complete package. Just do a test what type of scanner we used. It comes complete with software and everything. So it's kind of like a thing that you, like a bat that you hold and you scan the person. So it's a pretty high quality scanner. Good. Kind of like this. Once we're satisfied here, we can crank up the Dynamesh resolution again. It's 500 now. Smooth this thing. Maybe it was a little bit too much topology on 500 resolution. So I'm going to use the pinch brush for the edges of the eyelid itself. And then I'm going to use the flatten brush after a Dynamesh. I went dynamic solo and just flatten these bits out because this is supposed to be flat. A lot of people make mistakes when sculpting the eyes. The edges, they just push them this close to the eyeballs, which is wrong. You shouldn't do that. If you look yourself in the mirror, you'll notice that the eyelids are quite fat and they have very pronounced edges here. Make this bit a little bit this. So let's revisit the nose here. And just going over the most important bits for now. This smooth brush. A little bit on this side, but not going over the eye. Just the mouth. Whoops. Kind of like this. Just pronouncing the mouth. Smoothing everything we don't need. And we're going to revisit the ears again. Going to go here. Watch out when sculpting the ears, because if your brush is a little bit too aggressive, it can make holes on the other side. In that case, you need to go to brush, auto masking, and turn on backface mask. This works for each brush individually. So if you turn on it for standard brush, for example, it's not going to be active on other brushes. So keep that in mind. Kind of like this. Artist for 3D? Yes. So there's a reason for needing to sculpt this, because the person that was scanned had beard, had eyebrows, had stuff like that. So we needed to clean those out, and also the resolution of the scanner itself was not fitting for what we needed this mesh to, where we needed this mesh to fit. So there's a need for us to do this. There's a need to sculpt the scans into characters, like the same as you would do a likeness character. So all these details that you see here are this is just noise that was created scanner. These are not actual pores or something we can use to bake onto the low poly, because it wouldn't be as accurate, and it wouldn't look as good as in the end as just sculpting it.
Okay, so we have a question from Kichi name 01. Have you tried scanning hair or beard, and how does that look inside the both softwares? So because this scanner has a low resolution on micro details, and it cannot register the pores or any other details on the face, so it only you can have to use photos. So later on the stream I will going to show you how the textures were created, and also as well how was this model developed. So let's continue with the stream, and later we're going to carry
on. Okay, so once I'm happy here, I can switch to another one that was made with the other side identical. So we can continue from here. After we've got our base mesh done, we need to add divisions and start adding alphas, so we can start capturing smaller details. So we use divide, that in turn quadruples our topology. So we can add a little bit of divisions, couple of divisions, so 7 million. We're going to work on 7 million. We do not want to crank up the Dynamesh resolution 4K and work that way, because right now, if I do something here and try to smooth it, you can see it's pretty hard to smooth stuff. So if it's lower poly, you can see that it smooths a lot better. So it's a lot more workable. Next, for the we're going to revisit all the shapes. So maybe I'll go one division smaller. So paintbrush. This. Put a little bit here, add a little bit over here. So paintbrush to the eyelids real quick. And another thing about having multiple division levels is that, for instance, I go to layered pattern brush, so I add a pattern. If I go back in the divisions and smooth this thing here, where I added the pattern, when I go forward into the division to a higher division, you can see the pattern is still there. So it keeps data. Divisions keep data. Pinch forever. Pinch this thing. Unfortunately, we have abnormal termination. Sorry about this, guys. It's Always remember to save your sculpts. So I added a bunch of divisions. Did a little bit over here. We're going to do it pretty quickly now. We don't want to bother. Kind of like this. We need to pronounce the edge of the mouth a little bit more. Kind of like this. So from here, to add alphas and smaller details, you need to add them with alphas. For those who don't know, alphas are black and white images where the white is registered as plus, the black is not registered, or it's minus. So if I just change the brush to standard, if I want to, for example, add this, you can see the black parts are not registered. So before we add the alphas, going to layers and add a layer. What a layer is basically if I sculpt anything while the layer is active, is recording. Right now you can see I can turn that off and I can play with it, make it pronounce a little bit more or less. So this way, by adding the details as layers, I can make a hierarchy of details and start from pores, then go to wrinkles, then go to mouth-specific details and stuff like that. And it's a lot easier that way. So first, we're going to add some pores to the character. Going to standard brush. I'm going to choose this just with spray. Don't worry about making them too deep. Just bring down. Don't worry about making them too deep because later we can. They were too big. Later we can tone them down a little bit. So we're just adding holes. You would want to add more pores on the nose and bigger ones because the nose typically has holes on it. Kind of like this. Kind of like this. So when we switch off the recording mode of the pore, then we can set the value to where we think the pores are just about right. So around here, I think it's good. So next, I'm going to add actually details for the mouth. So I'm going to add a new layer, name that layer, mouth, and then go to dump standard brush, lower the Z intensity of the brush, just too low. Yes, we're going to do low poly. We're going to go over the process of creating retable. Yes, in Maya, and later we're going to bake the high poly into low poly and add some blend shapes. So we'll be using different softwares for that. So stay tuned. Just going to crank it up a little bit. I just want to add some lines with the dumb standard brush. Slash here. Blend shapes in Maya. Well, we'll be using Rep 3 to create the actual shapes from the scans. I'm going to select the standard brush with spray and select alpha 58. So I'm going to add some details here like this. Don't forget to vary the size of your brush in a little bit of intensity that makes feel a little bit more natural. So I'm going to dump standard again. I'm just going to make the groove here a little bit deeper. Kind of like this. So next, I think I'm going to add a little bit of noise to the character. For that, we go to Surface, Noise. If I zoom, you can see the character has noise. This will be something like pores, but we will add variety of pores, so it's not just one type of pore. So I'm going to set the noise scale to be a little smaller. Strength, we always want to make it a little bit more than it should be. So if we play with the curve, here you can see we have that look we need. So maybe a little bit smaller and maybe a little bit stronger. Kind of like this. And for example, for the mouth here, so I'm just going to mask out the mask. Kind of like this. So when we go apply to mesh, it doesn't apply to the mouth. Next, we're going to add another layer. So this one will be for the neck. I found the neck, it's easy to make with these alphas over here. So I'm going to select this alpha, spray, and just slash away over here. Change your brush size, so more varied brush sizes will achieve more natural results. Kind of like this. So I'm going to change the alpha, this alpha over here. Catchy name 01. I'm going to save. Thank you.
Kitchen name, just save today.
So we're going to change the alpha to something like this. So when we lower the value of this, I think it should look pretty natural. Something like this. So next, for the details around the eyes, I found some alphas online, which are free, which are from ZBrush page. So we're going to add another layer. Name that.
We have some interesting question from 420. Can you just specify what special equipment, because there is a lot of them.
We have special equipment. Basically, apart from the 3D scanner, we haven't used any special equipment, if that answers your question. So just take a chair, scan the head, and start working on the head. We can add multiple expressions, and later we'll see how to connect all the expressions like blend shapes. So for the alphas, to go to import some alphas over here. So I have, it's called SW alien skin. It's closest to human skin as possible, but there is a lot of tweaking into it. So over here, the skin tends to be a little bit more punchy with holes. So I'm going to, whoop, that's too much. I'm going to go to drag direct.
Later, are we able to share those skins with the audience?
Yes, we can share the alphas later. We can send the link because it's from ZBrush. Just adding those alphas here. You can vary with different alphas. So we got other ones. It is alpha 10. I use this for around the eyes to create wrinkle type features. Kind of like this. Well, yes, you can use maps from texturing XYZ, and it comes out real nice. I think we've tried that, and it's real good.
Yes, definitely. All the, let's say, Unreal Engine and other studios or big companies are definitely using texturing XYZ, so you should do that.
Kind of like this. So next. Okay. So right here, I'm gonna go a little bit with this alpha. So next one, we're done. Down the pores.
Later, if we, let's say we wanted to change the blend shape, are we able to do that? So let's say turn off the layers and fix the base mesh, or how does it work?
Yes. One of the advantages of using layers is you can all of the layers you can turn them off by simply clicking the little eye there. So I can go to the lowest division settings. I can make fundamental changes to the mesh. So I can lower the jaw, whatever I need to do. I can do it as normal. I can refine the mesh in its highest resolution setting. But later, when I want to add the alphas, I can just turn on the layers. And if I want to work specifically on the mouth again, I can just turn off all the other layers except the mouth, and I can hit record mode again, and I can start working on the mouth where I left off. So it's real handy to work with layers. For the final layer, I'm going to add some wrinkles. For this, I use the standard alpha from ZBrush, alpha 58. Swerving 420, if you want your mesh to move, you have to do rigging, animation, all that stuff. You can have equipment that makes mesh follow a specific movement. Sorry for being well, you can combine with motion capture suits. Motion capture suits for capturing movement. If you followed the last stream.
So in our 420, in our last stream, we have presenting how to create a basic rig for motion capture, and there you can follow up like it's like a tutorial, and it's like 20 minutes process. So you don't have any basic knowledge in rigging and create it.
Okay, so the last is just saved. If I add a little bit of skin detail this way, like wrinkles, we're not going to go too much into detail now because we're bounded by time, so we don't have infinite time to spend on this sculpt. So basically where the shadows fall, that's where most of the skin folds will be. So that's where you want to add a little bit of wrinkles. Kind of like this. Thanks, Swervin, 420. Kind of like this. And we're going to enlarge the brush a little bit. For the forehead, go over here. Kind of like this. So go to layers, wrinkles, and we just tone them down to where feel looks natural. One thing you can do while you have an active layer. So let's say I add another layer, and I want to add some imperfections to the head, because there are a lot of imperfection in each head. So I'm going to create a layer for that. And so let's see, I want to clay buildup, but with spray and with a lower intensity. For this, I'm actually gonna go to lazy mouse. I'll bring the lazy step, so the brush will be a little bit separated. The squares will be a little bit more separated. So I'm going to spray them all over the head. But before doing that, you can go to morph target and just hit store morph target. So I'm going to do this, and later that we're going to smooth it, so we don't want any sharp edges. The point is to break up the surface less smooth and to be somewhat with holes, and shadows will form a little bit. So while we have clicked store morph target, now we can go to morph brush. And now if we added somewhere by mistake from this, and just erase them. So we're going to tone down the imperfections as well, kind of like here. So if we jump to the final mesh that has been previously done. So these are all the layers we did. These are all of our details we managed to put on this. So from here, if you like to texture this, to bake this onto a low poly, first we need to create a low poly, but we also need to save this mesh for which we're going to use as a high poly. So to do that, first we need to bake all the layers. So I'm going to go bake all. And then we're going to delete all division levels. So it's stuck in the highest division level. Next up, we export it like this, as it is, as FBX export import in Z plugin, export. Just name that. Okay. We're going to name this head underscore high. And next, what we need to do to be able to put this in Maya. Oh, we have to wait a little bit. Artist or 3D, correct me, I'm wrong, but if you use this for the high poly to bake, you need to give the skin details more depth. So the SSS work, because if you use this, all the details will be lost. In my experience, this can work also, but Stefan can answer this because he has a lot more experience in texturing than I do.
For sure. Yes. Basically, if you have, let's say, if you your bake is have lower quality, there is two ways to fix that. So the first one will be to double the normal map, and then you can bring more details. But usually the displacement map works always. So I will use always displacement maps also for low poly characters in let's say for Unreal Engine. But pretty much in our session, like I mentioned before, we are going to show you the final result. So pretty much we're satisfied with that. And I think this process is good for, let's say, for indie studios or something like that. But for AAA, there needs more adjustments and definitely more time.
So while we wait for the FBX to export, next we need to decimate this character, because with 7 million vertices, it's going to be a lot tougher to do with topology. So we go to Z plugin, decimation master. First we click preprocess current, and then we set the percentage, or we can just hit 150k polys, and it should look something like this. So the topology should look something like this. So we can export this and then put this into Maya to work on it to make retopology. So right now we're going to have a little pause, so I can set up here for the retopo. So once we're back, this is our mesh we made in ZBrush that we decimated, and now it is in Maya. If you notice, the grid is way over here, and the head is way over here. That's because in ZBrush, the head is positioned this way, so a little bit off the grid from Maya. So we must not move it back, otherwise it will not bake. So here we're going to click Light Surface, Quadro, and we're going to make custom topology with Quadro. So I'm going to start. First thing I want to do is create circle around both eyes, kind of like this. At first, we're working as low poly as possible. So we're not going to add any more than we need to. So we're going to add another poly here. I'm going to divide this in two. Do the same on this side.
Can you explain just the controls, how they work?
Okay, so I manipulate the polygons with left click. With Ctrl, I control, I can add edges. With shift, I can relax the polygons, and with tab, I can extrude it.
Perfect. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. So I'm going to go over here. Do here. So I'm going to actually extrude this. I'm going to add another edge here and just extrude them to where they meet on the eyelid. You can add points by simply clicking on the mesh, kind of like this. So I guess I need another edge over here. Important to notice that the topology should be the same on this side as well. So if we add an edge, we have to remember that we added an edge, so we can do the same on the other side. So it's like this. Extrude the face from here. ZBrush, no, I have not actually worked with ZBrush. It looks awesome. I have seen videos of it. I will definitely give it a shot, ZBrush, but as of now, I have not. This is because we have our own pipeline, so we follow that. You can share your shortcuts even at the end for Maya and ZBrush if they ain't a secret. Shortcuts, you mean like movements and stuff, or what do you mean? So we added an edge here. So we just add pulleys. So we also add another edge. Basically, around the eyes, we want to have a full loop like this. And around both eyes, we want to have another. Around the mouth, so we're going to divide this middle piece into two polys. So I'm going to extrude it, try to capture the mouth as good as I can. Like this. So we're going to add the same on the lower part of the mouth. Kind of like Sweden 420 keyboard shortcuts for the entire process that you've been doing since everyone has different interfaces. I don't change the interface that much, especially in ZBrush. I don't have a custom interface, custom UI, or something like that. I prefer to work with the standard interface. I find that to be quite okay for me, and it's easier for me to explain to other people what I'm doing if I'm doing it on the base UI. So all the shortcuts I use are when you first turn on ZBrush. Those are the shortcuts I use. I don't have any custom shortcuts or anything like that.
But sure, if you have some specific stuff, definitely going to share them with you and send the full links from the documentation.
Yes. So I'm going to extend this a little bit further up to the nose. I'm going to add one edge in between. So right here, I'm going to create a polygon and extrude all four sides of it. I'm going to connect. Guys, I have to reset the connection. We'll be back.
So if Andrej is reconnecting, okay, we have question with Mario 7 Joker. Can this process be mirrored for surfaces where it's possible? No, because the whole mesh is not it cannot be mirrored because it has proportions. Let's say I'll leave Andrej to answer the question.
You can't mirror this process now because it doesn't look it looks symmetrical, but it actually isn't. If you create a polygon on one side and it looks like it's okay on the other side, it may prove to have some problems later when you work on it. So humans are not symmetrical, not at all. So you shouldn't work with symmetry at this stage. If you have someone that looks a lot more symmetrical, maybe you can pull it off and work with symmetry, but I don't recommend it. If you're working with some objects, for example, that should be symmetrical, then yes, you can turn on symmetry and work with symmetry. So after I just added this, yeah, we're going to save, delete all by type. You just save it. I'm going to extrude this nose part, kind of like this. So we're going to connect it to here. Can add polys here. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and extrude a large piece down underneath the mouth. So it's kind of like this.
I admire your retopo skills, really.
So we're going to extrude this to here, kind of like this. So we can start connecting it. When working with retopology, when we're doing a retopology, it's important to note that there are specific areas on the head where you need to make custom edge flow. And for the parts that don't need to have custom edge flow, like here, I want the edge flow to go down like this. So first, I'm creating where all the edge flow should be. So if I need circles around the eyes, first I do the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the ears, and then I work on connecting it all together, as opposed to doing everything all at once and just adding polygons.
Any tips for beginners?
Tips for beginners. We can send some pictures for beginners. So when doing a topology, it's all in the edge flow. So to practice the edge flow, you can, for example, after you've created a retopo, you can bake it and do a rig on it to see where you have failed, to see your mistakes. After that, you're going to know where your mistake is, and you're going to fix it a lot more easily. So it's kind of like this. I'm going to add another edge over here. And where my mouth is, I want to add a little bit more edges, like this. So that's actually too much. Why we add edges around the mouth is because this is something called creasing edges. So if you crease an edge while you're doing a retopo, when you bake that model, Substance will, because it is creased, will calculate it as an edge there. So the bake looks much better that way. So I just accidentally deleted it. I'm going to add. Going to go here, kind of like this. So we need to connect these pieces here and to add poly here. So kind of like this. It's okay. So let's see if we can do the same on the other side. Do this. So once we have this complete, we can extrude these edges to the bottom of the chin, and then just extrude them to the top, or to the backest point on the lower jaw, like this. So I can add polys here. We're going to add another edge over here. So as I work, I get the sense where I need to add a little bit more topology. So I'm going to extrude this upwards.
How many characters did you retopologize to get this at this level?
Well, quite a lot. I don't keep count of how many characters I've retopod so far, but 2 years worth of work, I'd say about, I don't know, 50 characters, something like that. Okay, guys, I'm going to restart again real quick. So, yeah, save. So from here, for the ears, I like to add a big poly here, and just the ears are the most problematic surface. and just follow this curve. Ecoplex, can we see your portfolio somewhere? Or I don't have a portfolio ready. I've been working on projects with the academy, like the game we mentioned in the previous stream. So when it's ready, you can all see our work, what we've done. So I'm going to connect ears. Okay. Like this. Just connect the inside of the ear. So the inside of the ear, once we're done with the retopo, all this doesn't need to be geometry. It all can be baked in substance. So to add another. It's always a good idea when doing retopo on ears to have edge flow that goes in the circle. So that way, if you need to add more topology, you can just hit Control and add an edge wherever you need to. So I'm going to extrude this like this. So I'm going to add another edge here. Kind of like this. So maybe we don't do that here. Inside of the ear, there's back of the ear. So it's good for now. I'm going to extrude this to here. Like this. Maybe create a poly there. So we can start working on the top of the head. So I'm just going to go, maybe instead of this, I can go with this polygon. Kind of like this. I just add enough edges so that the form is somewhat accurate to the mesh beneath. So from here, I can just extrude like this, just connect them. I got a little bit issues with the internet, so I'm going to restart again. Mes możesz
Smil, can we make a little break, because I can hear that you're a little exhausted. So grab a cup of coffee. So let's say how much you need, 1-2 minutes, 5 minutes. Okay guys, so we are going to be back in 5 minutes. If you do have any other questions, leave them into the chat and we'll be right back.
Okay, so we're back where we left. Okay, let me just... If you can scan your face with your phone, how good will the results be, Vixer24? I haven't tried that still, but I've seen someone scan objects with that clone app I mentioned, and the quality was pretty good. So maybe we'll give that a shot and tell you guys.
Yes, but this definitely you just need your base mission. After this session you can follow this like a tutorial and the result will be even the same.
Yes. Just don't expect the quality to be as good as something that you would capture with a legit camera, because higher quality cameras do produce higher quality scans. So just do this. So I'm going to extrude from the top of the head back to the bottom. Looking from the side, I can see that I need edges here. So this. So if we extrude, we're going to add some more edges here. I'm gonna connect that here. Maybe I don't need this edge now. I can add it later. We reconnect this later. And from here, just connect the pulleys. If we need somewhere, we can add extra edges. Okay, so I have quality issues with the stream, so I'm going to disconnect and reconnect again. So here I am. So the back of the ear where we need to connect them. So we can extrude just the vertices. So we can create these triangle looking things. do that. Extrude here. Here, here. You can add another. From here, it's just going to extrude downwards like this and just connect the neck. Can add some more edges here and smooth the form. Kind of like this. Oops, sorry. So next, we're going to go a little bit inside on the eyes. Like this. Just working with the eyes. Those edges that I mentioned in the eyes. So the same thing we did to the mouth, we're going to add another edge over here. So it look better when baking. So next, we're going to create the nostrils. Kind of like this. Extrude them inwards. So, yep. So I'm going to be restarting again. Gonna have to make a little triangle here. It's not a big problem, there's no just one triangle. So next, if we want to open the mouth, so imagine if this was supposed to be used for blend shapes, you would need the mouth open. So right now, I'm going to isolate select this mesh. And from here, I'm just going to select the edges, extrude them inwards, manually select the edges, and just lift them up. So I can create an opening for the mouth. So later we may open the mouth in a blend shape. It's kind of like this. So we're just extruding again and just scaling it. We can scale it down this way, so it'd be smooth edge, straight edge. And we can start scaling it down. You can select this face loop like this. So this is the way we create openings for the mouth. So above here, I have 6 edges. The bottom half also 6. So I'm going to bridge them, multi-cut, bridge, or fill hole. Like this. So I'm going to select the head, make life surface again. Sorry. Going to go to Quadro to before we finish, because I'm not going to make the other half, so we don't lose time. Going to object mode, we're going to smooth this. So go to Quadro again and just go over with the smooth brush. So the topology will follow the form of our high poly mesh. Smooth everywhere except in the mouth. You do not want to smooth in here because everything will deform. Kind of like this. So in creating the retopo, this is what it should look like at the end. So maybe a little bit more smoothing is in order. To object mode. So as I said, this is how the retopology should look like. So next, before we export this, we need to cut the UVs. So for now, I'm just going to move this to the side. I have already, so that I don't lose a lot of time, previously made low poly. So on this low poly, we're going to open up the UVs. Mines are already open, so I'm going to sew everything back together. So before you start, you sew everything back together. So next, we're going to select edge, and we're going to select the edges we need to cut. So around the ears, this edge loops too much, so I'm going to select another edge. First off, I'm going to cut the ears off. Kind of like this. Cut and sew, and just cut. Do the same on the other side. So I'm just going to cut it. Over here, I have some errors, so I may kind of like this. Cut. Also, we need to cut the inside of the mouth. So we're going to go over here, select an edge like this, and then maybe a little bit further outwards, cut it. And we also need to cut the inside of the mouth like this, but the edge mustn't circle around. We should go from here to, sorry, from here to here somewhere. Just cut. Same edge, I think. From here to here. Cut. And for the head itself, we need to cut the head in half, but not all the way. So if we select the center edge from front view, and then just hold Control and unselect everything to right about here. So we're going to, cut. So next we need to unfold. We go to UV shell. We're going to unfold everything. You can go to unfold, optimize tool, and just manually unfold it like this if there are somewhere there are problems. So next UV shell, we're going to select everything and go to arrange and layout, click layout. So we're done with the UVs. So now we're going to make a little pause again, so I can turn on substance. Oh, before I go, just select this and export it as an FBX. FBX file, and you need to name it head_low. Low must be with lowercase. So now we're going to make a break so I can switch software. Okay, guys, so now that we're in Substance Painter, we're going to go to File, New, it says File, we're going to select our head low. So we're going to, this is our head low. And to bake it, we're going to go to Texture Set Settings, Bake Mesh Maps. We're going to set the resolution to 4K. We're going to select the high poly. Set the anti-aliasing to 4x4 match. Let's just go by mesh name and just bake. So now the process is, we're waiting for the process to finish. It sometimes takes a while to bake. So any questions?
Okay, so I have a question. When you created the, let's say for the characters, full character with body and everything else, how do you control the whole quality and let's say for details for the skin and for let's say for the arms, and how much let's say capacity of your computer do you need? Let's say for you need more gigabytes of RAM or anything else?
Well, depends on where you work. If you work in ZBrush, works primarily on processing power. So the better the processor, the smoother the experience is going to be. Also for ZBrush, sometimes it uses RAM. When, for example, when you switch between subtools, when you rotate the mesh, that's when it uses a lot more of the RAM memory. And the better the specs, the smoother the experience, as opposed to the character when you're sculpting. So by separating into different subtools, so you have a lot more control over the meshes. And as I said, using layers, alphas, you can control how much detail you need. So, for example, for a hero character, you're going to need a lot more detail. For a character that's not going to be so much in front of the camera, let's say, you're not going to need as much detail. Also, for characters, you want to make the head of the character a little bit higher resolution, with a little bit more polish, with a little bit more details than the rest of the body, because that's gonna get the maximum screen time.
Perfect, thanks for the answer. So after the bake, we're going to finish with the session, or we're going to continue with the final results? With the Maya section, right? Okay, so let the bake finish, and afterwards we're going to continue with the blend shapes.
Okay, so questions. What's the maximum poly count you worked on in ZBrush without crashing? I worked on 120 million polys, so vertices, and it crashed a lot of times, but at the end I completed my task. But it's not recommended. It's not recommended to, yes, 120 million. It's not recommended that you do that. If you love your computer, please do not do that. Maximum, I would suggest you give it a try if you'd like, no more than 60 million. But that is in very extreme cases, when you have a whole scene in ZBrush, multiple characters and stuff like that, which is ZBrush, it's not for that. But if you're working on characters, you can go with, let's say, 6 million polygons. It's not too much. It's about enough. What's the maximum poly count that Maya can handle without crashing?
I can answer that one. So the maximum is 10 million polygons, not vertices. So I don't recommend above 2 million. So everything that above 2 million, it's just not stupidity, but it's the limit, definitely. When you're working on big scenes, definitely you need to have more saves because of crashes. You know that, definitely. But basically, what you need to do, if you need, let's say, to enter the high poly from ZBrush, definitely you need to create a reference from the FBX. So reference will be just reading the file and not, let's say, occupy the whole software.
Okay, so there's another question. What advice would you give beginners in ZBrush for making realistic sculpts? So as far as advice for beginners, take time to get your base meshes correct. So learn how to use references, how to compare your base meshes to the references. Know the things that you're looking for in the reference, like bones and features to which you compare your base mesh, and calculate your accuracy towards the reference. And next, learn how to put on details. So details like pores, like scratches, like scars, wrinkles. There are techniques which you can use to add more details. So in adding details, is not always just put on the details. Like, you have to get better on it. In either case, you have to practice a lot. It was a question from Salamander X1234. I have an opinion on Blender, Peter David 9996.
Pretty much he hates Blender.
Yeah, I don't like Blender much.
It's improving, but I think it's not enough, because Maya It's industry standard, and as well as the Academy is authorized training center for Maya, and a lot of studios are using it. So definitely you can create anything in every software, but we have chosen Maya because the interface was pretty awesome for us and also for our students to learn.
Yes. So the bake is almost complete, is at 92%. From Ecoplex, nice stream so far. Should be nice to stream while in quarantine. We could learn a lot from you. Thanks. I'm going to do my best to bring you guys more streams. We're going to do our best. Me, Stefan, in the M3DS Academy. And I hope to get better at this because I don't know if you're noticing, but my speech is not 100% right now. Sorry.
Pretty much thanks. We'll try our best. So we have some few streams coming up. You can see it at, I will type it in the chat. Here it is. So basically every stream will be announced there and also on Facebook because we're using that platforms. And pretty much we're having some awesome speakers from the professional industry that have worked for maybe over 8 to 10 years. And we'll be glad if you can join us.
Salamander X1234, thank you again. ZBrush and bring that into Cinema 4D. I haven't worked much in Cinema 4D, so I don't know my way around Cinema 4D. But if you're looking to export a high-res displacement in ZBrush, so basically you want to export in a how do you say this, mask. You're gonna have to use the mask. So you have to mask the model by, there are settings in the masking menu, how you want to mask it. So I think you can mask it by ambient occlusion and stuff like that. And you can export that as a UV map later. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, sure. And also when I saw the program for Marko Chulev, you can see it there. He will be working with displacement maps on 28th of April. And later on, we are going to create next month sessions for displacement map and how can you control the micro details into Subpainter, because it's the most important stuff when texturing and also applying it to, let's say, for rendering in V-Ray or the Unreal Engine. Because of the low poly is the most important to create it also as well with the UVs. So don't forget that the UVs are the most expensive thing in this industry, and you need to create them correctly.
Okay, so our bake finished. If I zoom here, you can see that all the details, I mean, except here because we in the low poly we have insert from the mouth, the high poly we don't. That's why this ridge is here. Other than that, the bake is completely successful. So if I turn on wireframe for you guys, you can see that this is still the low poly, but it has all the details from the high poly, like sprayed over like a texture or something like that. So right now, before we continue for the blend shapes, we can do a longer pause, Stefan, about 10 to 20 minutes. Okay. Okay.
Okay, I will continue from here. I'm going to present the final output from the projects. Basically, this is a rough save that we have done in the past, and we need to continue finishing it and refining it. So basically, what I have done now, this mesh is connected with 50 blend shapes that Andrej created, and we have connected them with the MockupX application that's used only by iPhone 11 and the upper versions. So let me just see it right here. So here are the blend shapes. Basically, well, what are you going to see here is a very rough sample. Here is the phone. It's connected to my computer. I just need to open the app, and connect it to the plugin. So here is the connection. I hope it works. Yeah. So our mistakes are basically because of the blend shapes have been imported not correctly. I had to make a rough sample now, but pretty much the eyes look great. So basically what we have done here, like I mentioned, Andrej created the blend shapes. We have connected them into the connection editor. So basically connection editor. So here you can see also the MockupX. And here are all of the blend shapes connected because the app provides all the necessary names for the blend shapes, and we need to create them by the book. I will now open them. So here are the blend shapes that were needed to create this amazing stuff. Okay, so we have brow, down left, and other stuff like dimple, and basically you need to follow all the instructions, because if you don't follow one of them it will not work. So I will try one more time the sample. If you open my mouth even more, it will break. So we need to change that and adjust it, and definitely it's very difficult to work with. So I will now open the Unreal Engine, where basically we have set up the textures and middle quality, something like that was created, because the 3D skin didn't provide any base color, and everything that was used was by images. So any questions about this? Because it's pretty interesting stuff and very cheap setup. So we have also a motion capture helmet, which will be used for our motion capture. How much time did this take? Basically, for the connection of the blend shapes, it takes something like 15 minutes, but it's pain in the ass just to connect name by name. But this is not the hardest part. The hardest part is to create the blend shape correctly. So it's not just to create the blend shapes, also as well you need to like adjust them and limit them. Can you animate the movement from the camera phone? Yes, for sure, because here it is. I have connect here with the USB and also with the Wi-Fi. I need to create a server, and I can be mobile, so I can walk around and everything will be connected. So what am I have to do? Let me just, here I'm going to create a clip reader, and everything in this clip reader is going to be recorded. You can see it here. So in the last 30 seconds that I have been, let's say, playing around with the app, it's automatically recorded. So when I clip this, it's basically convert to keyframes, and all of the blend shapes are connected to it, and also bake. What phone do you need? You need iPhone X and above, but definitely you need the application, but if you don't have the application, it sucks, and you need to pay for it. Basically, for the standard version, I'm going to now open it and send you the link. Mod X. Okay, here it is. So here is the app. It's only the app store, so definitely for Android it's a no-go, because the iPhone has new camera technologies and it works amazing. Definitely from our previous samples that we have tested, it looks amazing. So definitely for some indie studio or anybody else who wants to try it and play around, you should download the standard version and continue afterwards if you want to create something professional by the whole app. So can you do a full body mockup with the app? No, that is from Just Do It. Okay. So basically we have Xsense motion capture suite. So definitely with the phone you can only just record your facial expression, nothing else. So definitely I'm gonna say it's pretty expensive for the start, but when you try to create some quality projects or professional, you have to use better equipment like the Xsense suite. Will this work for other 3D softwares, not only for Maya? I think they support other platforms, but what I've seen, it's just definitely Maya. So yes, basically everything turns around Maya because it has more content, but I think it's only Maya. What I've seen on YouTube and also all the tutorials, they are using the Maya software. Okay, so next I'm going to open the Unreal Engine. It takes little time. I'm opening it. Okay, other questions? Basically the blend shapes can be created, like I mentioned in the last section, with the ZBrush layers. So definitely you need to follow the whole stream later if you want to create some blend shapes. And they have, why ZBrush layers? Because it's easy to adjust and correct them, but if you are using, let's say, Maya, it's pretty damn hard. So for my first test I created them in Maya, and that was just low quality and nothing else. Okay, here it is. The scene has been open. You can see it. Yes. So I need to just play. So this was rough lighting that was created, and this is the final result. And it's from I'm seeing the samples, and with the low quality scanner, it's pretty amazing. So everything that you see, it was created in it was textured in Subs Painter. So yeah, it's pretty amazing for, let's say, how much? 1, 2, 3, 5 point lights. So definitely the lighting needs to be improved and everything needs to be even better. What I have forgot to create is, let's say here, the water to the eyes, and also I need to adjust the eyes because you can see that they're little weird and everything needs to be adjusted. But basically for our first sample, it's definitely amazing. Everything that we have seen so far, it's pretty good. Let's see if there's any other questions. No. So I think Smil will be right back, and if you do have any questions or guidelines how we created the whole process, we are happy to answer them. So follow us on Facebook or Instagram. We are pretty active there, and for sure we are going to try to help you out. As well as if you're creating some sort of a game, we can help you with the motion capture and create some test animations for you with our body motion capture. Our Instagram, now I'm going to send 3DS It's M3DS Academy. Also, you can see it on Twitch. Okay. The software cannot save the textures. Yes, it can save the textures, but they were low quality. So basically, if you need to create a scanner, I will recommend using photogrammetry with cameras, as well as if you do have a large budget to create a setup for scanning. Like in every studio, they have used like over 300 camera in a circle, and with, let's say, with one shot they have created a full body scan. But as well as with those cameras, you can automatically rig and animate the whole character. So basically, if you need to search that, you need to search 4D rigging or 4D animation, something like that, or 4D scan, something like that. What I've seen, they trilateral from Serbia are using that, as well as Industrial Light Imaging and other big studios. But from what I'm seeing, let's say for Marvel Universe, they have used the XN suit. So that's pretty awesome because it's, for their budget, is very cheap. And on set they are trying and testing the animations, and they have worked very well. So good job for XSense. Do you need a lot of experience in UR to make this awesome scene? Really, I'm a beginner user, and it took me, let's say, less than 20 minutes, something like that. The most part, it's like few point lights, and you need to attach the texture, and you need just some basics, but definitely no. Unreal Engine, it's awesome, and as well as I'm proud to say that we are partners, Academy partners with Unreal, and they have sent this merchandise so we can give it away. Okay, so now in Unreal the texture reacts to the lighting in Unreal, correct? Yes, for sure, but this what you see is like the preview, and this is the cinematic view. So basically, here is what you're going to see in the game that you are going to create. Basically, I'm recommending to use Unreal, but you can create this in Unity, maybe lower quality, because they don't have some features with the cinema cameras, with roughness and specular. Yes, there is a lot of problem with the roughness and need to adjust it. So basically, if you just, let's say, texture it in Substance, you cannot definitely use those textures. So you need to create nodes. I'm going to show you that. So textures. Here is the SSS. Let me just see if where are the shaders. Here are they. So this is the scattering. So if you don't have scattering, definitely you're not going to have some good result. Here is the base. Here are the nodes. So here is the setup for the textures. It's pretty basic. So here is the base color. This is the, okay, let me just zoom in. This is the base color. This is the roughness, ambient occlusion, and metallic. So you can see it here is connected. When you create scattering in Subs Painter, the alpha channel, you need to attach it to the opacity of the shader. The normal map and the other parameters are just adjusting the contrast of the texture. Okay, nodes. Yeah, definitely hate them too. Okay, question. I missed the part where you baked the high poly mesh on the low poly in Substance. Did you put high poly on the low poly or displacement? Or we have put just the high poly, we have baked it. So basically what it's doing is just projecting the details, and it's creating textures. So when we finish the stream, you can look it up later after the stream is finished, like in the next 10 minutes, give it some time to process itself. And definitely if you have to use displacements, I will have to use it here. But for this occasion, it was okay. or do you have to those brought from? No, they were created in Unreal itself. So it's one shader, so this is too basic. If you see in the other projects that are created, let's say the templates from Unreal in the library, you can see them there. They have over pretty much 4,000 like this. So can we see the SSS from the character? Yes, for sure. Just let me open that one. Here is the map. So the map is, like I mentioned, let me just open the texture. It's directly, here it is. So here is the SSS texture. So this is the alpha channel and it's directly connected to the opacity. And it's just a few clicks and it's not a problem to set up. So you can see it on some few tutorials, but it's difficult to find them. I will try to recommend some channels for that as well. So I will make a break and let Andrej finish this stream. Okay, thanks.
Okay, guys, so picking up where we left, have to import the scans from the different expressions into ZBrush, and we're going to use the standard we used to create the base mesh. So let me just a second. So we use this to create the base mesh. If you remember, we trimmed the piece down, but this is the I rotated this to be in the perfect position. So I have imported the other scans from the other expressions. So just by clicking append, I'm going to append the standard mesh, and I'm going to rotate this to sit on top of the other. So it's as flush as it can be. Something like this. I'm using just the gizmo, kind of like this. So maybe rotate it a little bit. And after we've done that, I've done that already with 2 scans. So we're going to export them as an OBJ, all 3 of them. Desktop, open .obj. Once we do that, once we have exported all of our scans as OBJ, which are scaled correctly, we're going to open Rep3 application. This allows me to, let's say, unfold or wrap the low poly around the scans. So to start, I just click tab here, load geometry. This is going to be my low poly. So I'm going to select head, and I'm going to do another load geometry. This is going to be my high poly. We're going to try the jaw. Next, we're going to click tab. and go to select points pair. This will allow us to get data from the low poly or select certain parts of the low poly and give them a location where do they need to wrap. So if I hover my mouse over here, it says left geometry. I'm going to connect that to the low poly, and where it says here right, I'm going to connect that here. So I'm going to go tab again, selection, alignment, and wrapping. When I select wrapping, I just connect this dot that says output point correspondences. So it's here. I'm going to floating geometry. Floating geometry is the geometry that deforms. So I want the low poly to deform. And fixed geometry is a geometry that doesn't deform. So I'm going to that here. If I zoom out, you can see both the low poly and the high poly. I'm going to select the high poly. I don't need to look at the wireframe. So you can see they're pretty misaligned. But if I select points, I click sync views, and I go to visual editor. Now I can see both heads. So the way this program works, just by clicking, you add points. So I have 0.0 here at the bottom of the left eye, at the edge of the left eye. So I'm going to click the same point here. So it's 0 point here, 0 point here. Next, I'm going to click out some points. So I'm going to add a little bit of points. Be careful not to mess these points up, because if you mess them up, the wrapping won't work. If you want to move a point, you just click it and move it around with the mouse. And if you want to delete it, you just click, hold Control and click. I'm going to Control Z here. So I'm going to add a little bit more points around the other eye. So this should capture the expression pretty good. Take your time when you add points. You don't want to miss any parts. And if you certainly do miss any parts, it's not going to be the end of the world. We can go back and tweak some points. So here it's all in the points. I'm going to click here. I need 4 for each outside of the nostril. Like here, like this. If you have a lower resolution model, so a lot less polys than this one, you can go with fewer polys, but since this is pretty high poly, okay, so we're going to reset the stream. Okay, so I'm going to go inside the nose on each corner. Basically, you want to put these points in the corners where the geometry should fold. Next, for the mouth, first we need to select where there's a point or a vertex that's connected to 5 edges. Those are the polys you need to, that's where you need to place your points. So I'm gonna go the mouth, I'm going to place points here. Just take your time and click the points out. Here, I want this to go here. About the chin, I'm going to add one here. I'm going to capture the skin. So this with its corresponding high poly. Some of you, I think, mentioned ZWrap. This is pretty similar to ZWrap. Need to move these points a little bit up. So next on the neck, you can see there are bits of the depression here and here. That's where I'll place my points on either side. So I'm going to go to the sides of the nose. Oh, so I messed up something with my points here. Oh, I think I found my error. Forgot to put points here. 40, 41. So here 42 and 43. Be careful not to mess up the points. Next, I'm going to click here. A little bit of the cheekbone there. So it's a good idea to add some points on the cheeks, especially if you have insides of the mouth. So about here. I'm going to add it here. Like this. Aren't these similar points for facial rigging? Well, I don't think this is like facial rigging because you're just setting a position where the topology needs to unwrap. It's more like UV unwrapping, but than anything else. If you worked in ZBrush, you will know project. This is similar to project in a way it's unwrapping and meshing the topology over the high poly. I'm going to add here, in the center maybe, the lowest part. So I'm going to add here. Sides of the scroll. Here and the neck. Maybe we'll add a little bit more. So once we're done with adding points, we go to wrapping and we have to click compute. So now it will unwrap the low poly onto the high poly.
Yes, also this process was used also for our sample that I have shown you previously, and it sure did work amazing. So you can either try it out in ZBrush or here. Basically we have found the maybe easier ways to do it here, and after the points are adjusted later we can use the same ones and create all blend shapes.
As you can see, the inside of the mouth starts coming out, but that is fixable in Maya. We're going to fix that in Maya. So any questions to this point?
Let's say, because it's a longer session, what drives you to keep working with 3D? Because we work closely, definitely it's a pain in the ass and everything that we have done doesn't work. But with hard power, let me know your motivation and also the other ends.
Well, I guess my motivation is when I start working on something, when the first steps I take towards any project, that's where how to say, when I get in the zone of doing stuff in 3D, I do not want to quit until I see them finish, regardless if it's something that I've done 1,000 times and I know it very well, or it's something that I'm trying for the first time. I just want to see the end result, no matter if it is a success or failure. So for me, it's more, I guess you can say, more of the journey than the destination, because I really enjoy working as a 3D artist. And there are also other things that keep me motivated to work, such as the students at the M3DS Academy, because their success relates to us. So there's a lot of things that keep me motivated. So we see that now that this is finished. So overall, it's pretty good, except for the mouth. But this part can be solved in Maya. So what we need to do now is just right-click here, save geometry, and we're going to connect wrapping and save geometry. And I'm going to save it on desktop. This is test head, accept, and now it is saved. So let's see. Yes, there's test head. If I want to import that into Maya, oh, okay, just a second. Sorry. Okay, so here it is. What happened here? Oh, so this is the head low. I think I misplaced the file. So let's just go. Test head, accept. Should be. Why does it doesn't? Yes, I forgot to click compute brain. So this is my test set. This is how it looks like. So if I select these two, this is the new one that I created. This is the geometry on which is based. So I'm just gonna select the new one, click and select on the old one, on the original, and click blend shape in the form. So now, if I click the original, I have blend shape, and I can access the blend shape. But also, I can go into, with this set to 0, Windows, animation editors. I can go to shape editor. This is my shape, so I can edit this. When I'm in edit mode, I can use the eraser brush, which is in sculpting menu here. So some of the parts I can erase and turn back to normal, like here. But before I even do that, I think I need to move. Oh, sorry. I think I need to move the head a little bit forward. Yes, so remember that you must be doing this in edit mode. So this must glow red. So I can go into sculpting, razor brush, and do this here. Okay, it's not as slick as we hope so. We need to modify it a little bit more. Okay. So it's kind of like this. Now it looks a little bit meshed up. So inside for the mouth, we can scale the brush down and we can just smooth around it. Just massage it with a smooth brush. Go like this.
I look like a fish.
Kind of like this. You can use other brushes. Shift right click and go with the bulge brush. It's kind of like this. So definitely you need to take your time with this one. So I'm going to smooth it. You can go into face mode and select this whole part and click on soft select and just I'm going to update the stream. Like this. So we're going to shape it as a little bit perfect as we want. Well, this is far from perfect, but I think you get the picture.
So we can go now with the chatting scene, and also we can continue with the giveaway. Okay? Give us 30 seconds to set up the camera and let's continue with the giveaway. Perfect, so we had an amazing session. Thanks, Smil, for showing us the whole process. It took us a lot of time, so maybe some of you didn't have some time to watch it all. So in the, let's say in the next hour, it's going to be updated and you can watch some segments there. Thanks for sticking by, and let's have, let's say, some questions, but I think already some of them were answered. So any motivation tips, Smil?
Just keep working until you get it right.
Definitely the biggest problem is depression in this industry, because it takes a lot of time and also a lot of sleepless nights to get on some point. And definitely you had some with when you started as a 3D printing artist, then as a ZBrush artist. So I'm going to say I'm very proud to see you here at this point, and definitely I would like to work with you on some professional projects.
I'm very grateful to be here, and I hope we can work together even more.
Yes, for sure. And also let's start with the giveaway. So I have to, Smil, do you want some break and see the giveaway? Okay, let's give a break to Smil. Okay, perfect. So let's try this out. So what I'm going to use is keywords, because we have few giveaways. Let's start with DreamWorks. So anyone wants to have, let's say, the stickers and the badges from DreamWorks, type this into the chat, and let's start with the giveaways. So let me see. users. Can you copy the DreamWorks and paste it to the chat? You definitely need to do that to enter the competition or the giveaway. I will give here is for the Epic Games, copy that one, and for the M3DS. So let's finish this fast one. And I'm going to share screen, so it's going to be legit. Okay. Here is the app. I'm going to give a few more minutes. And let's start with DreamWorks. So enroll LeBron. Nice. Okay. So let's start with DreamWorks. So we have Mekosh 10. It will be great if you can contact us and see your location and also send the prizes. So you have sticker with badge from DreamWorks. We're going to try 2 more times because we have 3 giveaways from DreamWorks. Marlu. Okay. And one more time, Ecoplex. So you have received the sticker and also the badge. So next will be the Epic prize. It includes t-shirt. It includes t-shirt, also the bag and few stickers. Catchy name. Nice. So because I'm glad because you have been active for every of our streams, and I'm glad that you have received the Unreal Engine prize. So the next one will be the M3DS. So I'm going to copy this and we're going to give away 2 t-shirts. Okay. Keyword. Did you type the M3DS? Let me see. Yeah, I have seen. Okay, let's see how this one is active users. Yeah, I have seen that you have passed the M3DS. Okay. Andrej Gino. Oh, I know this one. So the prize goes to Macedonia Prilep. Nice. One more time for Makada. Perfect. So every one of you that have received the prize, let me go just to the host. So one of you that received the prize, please contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or email, whatever, so we can give away the prizes to you. It's a pleasure. Sorry for the last stream. I was a little rushing it and didn't release the giveaways. So today we have a bigger one. And also, few streams ago, we have one giveaway with the X Pen tablet. And also that one was great. So for the next giveaway, let me know in the comments what you think so we can arrange it. Me and Smil was wondering if you would like to receive any 3D prints that we have printed so far. And thanks a lot for supporting us. So let's finish this stream because it's almost 3 hours, and have a nice night or morning for you. So see you.